Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear participants. Welcome to this session of textual study of the Quran. Today we will start off by literally and idiomatically translating verses 142 to 162 of Surah Baqarah, which we had finished in our last session as far as their explanation was concerned. So let us start off. سيقول السفهاء من الناس ما ولاهم عن قبلتهم التي كانوا عليها. So سيقول, this means soon they will say. So one thing that you might note is that whenever you find the word seen appended with a verb like يقول, or for example the word سوف, these two words give the meaning of soon, something which is going to happen very soon in the hereafter. If that is to happen, then what the Quran does is that it either uses the word sawfa or it uses the word seen, just the seen, and appends it to a verb. So the verb was yaqul, but since the meaning that was given, that was meant to be given to yaqul was that soon, whatever the words say, it would soon be done. So the seen was appended. So say, the word yaqul means say. So sayaqul would mean they would soon say. Sayaqul as-sufaha. So sufaha is the plural of safih and it means foolish. So sayaqul as-sufaha'u minan nas. Soon the foolish will say, minan nas, min is from, an-nas is people. Ma, what? Wallahum, turn them. An, from, qiblatihim, their qibla. Allati, that, kanu, were, alayha, on it. So idiomatically it would mean that soon these foolish from among the people would say that what turned them from the qibla that they were. So we have discussed this, that the Bani Ishmael, for their own test and trial, they were made to face the Baitul Maqdis in Jerusalem during the prayer, and then soon this directive was revoked and they were turned back to the Holy Kaaba. And this gave the people of the book the opportunity, or they got this chance to criticize them, that what is it that they are now doing, that they were first facing the Kaaba, then they faced the Baitul Maqdis, now they are back again. So this is like a comment that is being made, and the Quran has actually called such people foolish, and the reason that we've already discussed that is that following the Ummah of Ibrahim or the Millat of Ibrahim is not foolishness, it is outright following the religion of monotheism. So sayaqulu sufaha, soon foolish amongst these people, the foolish amongst these people will say, ma wallahum, what turned them, an, from, qiblatihim, their qibla, allati kanu alayha, on which they were, which means the qibla that they were facing. Qul, tell them, lillahi, for God, al-mashriq, the east, al-maghrib, the west. So the answer given to them is, and this you will see it often happens in the Quran, that the Quran, whenever something is cited, the Almighty tells the Prophet that, well, this is what you should say to them. So it is precisely what is being done here, that the Prophet is being told that you have to, you just tell them, Lillahi al-mashriqu wal-maghrib. To God belong the east and the west. Lillah means to God belongs. East is mashriq, maghrib is west. Yahdi man yasha'u. Yahdi means He gives guidance. He gives guidance. Man, to whom? Yasha'u, He desires. Ila, towards. Sirat, path. Mustaqim, straight. So He gives guidance to whom He desires towards the straight path. And we know from other instances in the Quran that this desire or want of the Almighty is not just based on His whims, it is based on a principle which is mentioned at many instances in the Quran, and that is that God guides those who desire guidance, who need guidance, who look for guidance. He doesn't just start distributing guidance to people, come what may. He sees if people are thirsty for this guidance and then He guides them. So Yahdi man yasha would not should not give this impression that he guides whomsoever he wants to without any principle. No, this is not true. So, not at every instance does the Quran elaborate fully on its purport, because we know that there are instances in the Quran in which it has been set out in detail that God's guidance is dependent on a person's desire. But this is not always mentioned. I mean, it's not always mentioned that He gives guidance to those He desires, those who desire guidance. So, on most occasions, it is just mentioned He gives guidance to whomsoever He wants to. So, but we know from other instances that it actually means He gives guidance to those people who themselves desire guidance. Ila siratin mustaqim, towards the straight path. Wa, and kazalika, in this way. Ja'alnakum, we have made you. Ja'alnakum, we have made you. Ummatan, community. Wasatan, middle. So, in this manner, we have made you a middle community. Litakunu, so that you, shuhada is the plural of shaheed and means witness. So, litakunu would mean, le is so that. Takunu is you. So, litakunu would mean so that you. Shuhada, bear witness. Allah, against. Nas, people. So that you bear witness against people, or you bear witness before them. Wa, and. Yakunu is. Rasul, the messenger. Alaykum, upon you. Shahida, witness. So, idiomatically, we can translate this as, and in this manner we have made you a middle community. We have made you a middle community so that you bear witness to people, and the messenger has borne witness, or he is a witness to you. Wama, wa, and ma, not. Ja'alna, we made. Al-Qibla, allati, which. Kunta, you. Alayha, were. Illa, except. Lina'lama, so that we know. And in the Arabic language, the word na'lama, as we also have the same meaning in some other languages, means to see and test. So whenever we say so that we know, it also means to know as knowledge. It also means to know as a test. Na'lama, okay, main. Kunta alayha illa lina'lama man, who. Yattabi'u, follows. Ar-Rasula, the messenger. Min man. So, mim man is actually min man. From those. Mim man, from those. Yanqalibu, turn back. Ala, on. Aqibayh, their heels. So, idiomatically, the translation would be, and we have not made the Qibla on which you were, except to know who follows the messenger from those who turn back on their heels. So, this Qibla, this change of Qibla is being told, is to test whether people who are told to change this Qibla from the Baytullah to Baytul Maqdis, they follow the Prophet or not. Because of course this is something very difficult. It was very difficult for the Arabs that when they were told to switch from the Baytullah to Baytul Maqdis, it was very telling upon them. And the Quran has said that the only reason that we did was to test people. And what was the test? The test to whether they followed the messenger or not, or whether they turned on their heels, meaning that they evaded the messenger. Wa, and. In kanat lakabiratun. Although this was kabira, very something which is a burden, something which is very difficult. So this was something which was very difficult. It was not, so in here is basically what we call as in nafiya, which is negative in. So whenever it comes, it is always followed by an illa. So it's like saying, and it is not, it is not something which is bigger, something which is sterner, except illa al-lazina, ala on al-lazina, those, hadallah, al-lazina hadallah, who are guided by God. So this is something which is something very, very stern, something very tough, except for those who are guided by God. Illa ala lazina hadallah, except for those who are guided by God. Hadallah. Wa and ma, not. Kan Allahu, God is. Liyudhi'a, going to waste. Imanakum, your faith. So, and God is not going to waste your faith, which means that if you have been praying on the Baitul Maqdis, facing the Baitul Maqdis, and then you are now turning back, it's not that, God is going to lay waste your deeds or your faith in any way. He's just trying to test you through this and see whether you follow the directive of God or your own whims and or your own traditions. Inna Allah bin nasi la ra'ufur rahim. Inna, indeed, Allah, God, bin nasi, with people, la ra'uf, very compassionate, rahim, ever merciful. So indeed, God is very compassionate and ever merciful to His people. قَدْ نَرَى تَقَلُّبَ وَجْهِكَ فِي السَّمَاءِ. قَدْ, indeed, نَرَى, we are seeing. Taqalluba means to turn towards. Wajhika, your face. Fi, in. As-sama, the heavens or the sky. So, idiomatically, it would mean that we have been seeing that your face is turning in the sky. Of course, the word in the sky here actually means towards the sky. So, it's like the Prophet was repeatedly looking at the heavens as if he was praying to the Almighty that now that this new ummah has been raised, then their Qibla should also be restored to the Holy Kaaba. So it was that sense of anticipation that was with which the Prophet was overcome, and he would continuously and repeatedly look up to the heavens and beseech and implore the Almighty to do so. So, قَدْ نَرَى تَقَلُّبَ وَجْهِكَ فِي السَّمَاءِ. Indeed, we have seen your face turning repeatedly towards the heavens. فَلَنُوَلِّيَنَّكَ قِبْلَةً تَرْضَاهَا. So therefore we have turned you, نُوَلِّيَنَّكَ قِبْلَةً, towards the Qibla, تَرْضَاهَا, you desire. So it is as if the Almighty has responded that since you have repeatedly been looking at the sky, desiring in your own heart that the Qibla would be restored, so now as a consequence the Almighty says, we have turned you back towards the Qibla that you desire, which is of course the Baytullah. فَوَلِّ, therefore turn. Walli is an imperative verb which means turn. Wajhaka, your face. Shatra, towards. Al-Masjid al-Haram, the mosque. Of course, the word haram here means sacred. So just as the word haram means something which is prohibited, it also means something which is sacred. So Al-Masjid, of course, referring to the mosque of the Prophet, the Masjid al-Nabawi. So فَوَلِّ وَجْهَكَ towards, not the Masjid al-Nabawi, but towards the Holy Kaaba. So Masjid here is referring to the mosque of the Kaaba itself, not to the Masjid of the Prophet. I beg your pardon for that. So فَوَلِّ وَجْهَكَ شَطْرَ الْمَسْجِدِ الْحَرَامِ, turn your face towards the Masjid al-Haram or the Holy Kaaba, the sacred Kaaba. Wa, and haisu, wherever, ma kuntum, you are, fawallu, turn your face, fujuhakum, your face, shatrahu, towards it. So wherever you are, haythu ma kuntum, fawallu wajhaka shatrahu. So wherever you are, turn your face towards its direction. Shatrahu, its direction. Wa, and inna, indeed, allazina, those who utul kitab, given the book, la ya'lamuna, definitely know, annahu, that it is al-haq, the truth, min, from rabbihim, their Lord. So indeed, those who have been given the book, referring to the people of the book, la ya'lamuna, they definitely know, annahu al-haq, that this is the truth, this is absolute truth, which means that the Kaaba, being the house of God, the actual house of God, is the real truth from their Lord, min rabbihim, from their Lord. Wa, and mallahu, Ma here is of negation, which means ma means not. Allahu is God. Bighafilin means is not unaware or unaware, because ma is already there. So we would say Wallahu bighafilin, God is not unaware. Amma, I have already explained this to you that this word is actually an-ma. So when it is joined together, it is written as amma. So Wamallahu bighafilin, God is not unaware, amma, about, ya'malun, what you do. So God is not aware of what you do. He is fully aware that what you are doing. He knows that you fully knew what the Kaaba is, and of course you fully knew that that is the real Qibla, and it is not that God does not know what you are doing. Wa, and, la in, if, ataita, you give, allazina, those who, utul kitaba, given the book. So if you give the people of the book what bikulli ayatim, or wala in ataita would mean if you bring. So if you bring allazina utul kitab, who are the people of the book, bikulli ayatin, with every sign, ma, not, tabi'u, they will follow, qiblatak, your qibla. So even if you bring every sign to these people of the book, they will not, ma, not, ittaba'u, follow, qiblatak, your qibla. So whatever sign you would bring to them, or you can bring every sign to them, but they are not going to follow your qibla. Wama anta bitabi'in qiblatahum, wa, and, ma, not, anta, you, bitabi'in, going to follow, qiblatahum, their qibla. Wama ba'duhum, wa, and, ma, not, ba'duhum, some of them, bitabi'in, follow, qibla of the other. So it is being said that once that you have turned back to the holy Kaaba, you are not going to follow their qibla. Ma anta bitabi'in qiblatahum, wama ba'duhum bitabi'in qiblata ba'd, and they are also not going to follow the qibla of one another. Remember, they had differences between one another as well. Wala in ittaba'ta, wala, wa, and, la in, if, ittaba'ta, you follow, ahwa'ahum. Ahwa is the plural of hawa, and hawa in Arabic means desire. Ahwa would mean desires. Hum is theirs. So if you followed their desires, min ba'd is one word which means after. Ma, that. Ja'aka, came to you. Min al-ilm, from knowledge. So if you followed their desires after knowledge had come to you, of course, al-ilm here means the Quran itself, the knowledge of the Quran. Once the knowledge of the Quran has come to you, innaka izan lamin al-zalimin, innaka, indeed you, izan, at that time, lamin, among, al-zalimin, the wrongdoers or the unjust. So the Prophet is being told, and I have explained this before, that whenever these such words or seemingly harsh words seem to be addressed to the Prophet, it is actually the other way around. The Prophet is addressed just to convey to them in an indirect way that they are the culprits, and the harshness in the rebuke is actually directed towards them. So the Prophet is being told that if you follow their desires even after knowledge has come to you, you will be among the wrongdoers. The stress is that these people are wrongdoers, but they are not directly addressed. Allazina ataynahumul kitaba, allazina, they who, ataynahum, we gave them, al-kitab, the book, ya'rifunahu, they recognize, kama, the way, ya'rifuna, recognize, abna'ahum, their own children. So again, it is being told that these people of the book, they recognize the Qibla, and they recognize this last prophet, and they recognize this Quran the way they recognize their own children. Wa, and, inna is indeed, fariqan, a group, minhum, from among them, la yaktumuna is hiding, al-haq is truth. So there is one group among them who is hiding the truth. Wa, and, hum, they, ya'lamun, know it. This means that they are deliberately hiding the truth. They knew that this is the last prophet and they knew that this is the last book that has come with him. But in spite of the fact that they know this, inna fariqam minhum, one of their groups, one of their factions is hiding this truth deliberately. Wahum ya'lamun, they know it very well, but they are still hiding it. And then this emphatic statement, Al-haqqu min rabbika fala takunanna min al-mumtareen. Al-haqq, the truth, min rabbika, from your Lord. Fala, therefore not. Takunanna, be among. Min, from. Al-mumtareen, those who are in doubt. So therefore, once again, it is being told to the Prophet that the truth is from your God. So therefore, do not be among the people who are in any doubt. This statement also, and this verse also, is very much like the previous verse or the verse before that, in which the Prophet was addressed, and it was a seemingly harsh address when he was said that after you follow their whims, when you follow their whims after knowledge has come to you, innaka izalla min al-zalimin, you too shall be among the wrongdoers. Again, that rebuke was actually meant for the wrongdoers themselves, but the Prophet was addressed. Exactly the same style is adopted here as well. Al-haqqu min rabbika fala takunanna minal mumtareen, that this truth is from God, so do not be among those who are overcome with doubts. So the Prophet was never overcome with any doubt. It is basically these people who were overcome with doubt. So basically, again, that harshness and that rebuke, which seemingly is addressing the Prophet, is actually directed towards these people of the book. And they are being told that you know very well the last prophet, you very well know the Quran, and still you are showing this doubt, which is absolutely unbecoming of you. Wa, and likulli, for everyone, wijhatun, direction, huwa, it or he, mawalliha, faces it, fastabiqu, so therefore compete, al khairat, in good deeds. So it says, وَلِكُلِّ وِجْهَةٌ هُوَ مُوَلِّيهَا, for every direction, for every person is a direction towards which he faces. لِكُلِّن, for everyone. وِجْهَةٌ, direction. هُوَ, him. مُوَلِّيهَا, which he faces. فَاسْتَبِقُوا, so outdo one another or compete with one another. In what? Al-khairat, in good works. One thing that you might note here is that the word khairat, the way it is being used here, it means good deeds. But if you recall that in some languages, like for example the Urdu language, the word khairat just means charity, and it has been confined to this meaning. So this is again a point of caution that we have to understand, that when the words shift from one language into another, it's not always that the meanings that they carry remain the same. The word is the same, but the meaning is actually changed here. So it has confined itself. So khairat, it actually in Arabic means all good deeds. Everything comes under it. But when the word came into the Urdu language, it was confined to one good deed, and that is charity. So this is something that we have to learn, that when similar words exist in two languages, it's not always that they mean the same. In technical parlance, they are called false cognates, which means they are false friends. And they give the impression as if they mean the same, but they are not of the same meaning. So fastabiqul khairat would mean compete yourself, between yourselves, in outdoing others regarding good deeds. Aynama means wherever. Takunu, you are. Ya'ti bikumullah. Ya'ti means bring. Ya'ti comes with this preposition be. So kum is you. Ya'ti bikum would mean God brings you. Ya'ti bikumullah means God brings you. Jamia, all of you. So wherever you are, God is going to bring you. I mean, He's going to gather you. Wherever you are scattered doesn't mean that God has any difficulty. Inna, indeed, Allah, God, ala, on, kulli, every shay'in, thing, qadir, powerful. So literally we can translate it as, indeed, God on everything powerful. Or idiomatically, God has power over everything. Wa, and min, from, haythu, wherever, kharajta, you come out. Favalli, therefore face. Wajhaka, wajh means your face. Ka is your. Wajhaka, your face. Shatra it means direction, or it means towards. Al-Masjid, the mosque. Al-Haram, the sacred. So it literally, we could say that wa min haysu kharajta, and from wherever you come out, fawalli, therefore face towards the mosque of Haram, or the sacred mosque. Again, we have discussed this earlier on, that wherever you are, wherever you're traveling, from whichever place you come out, do not make this something of a habit, or of something of a concession, that you think that when you're traveling that you're not going to face the Qibla. No, wherever you are and wherever it is possible, you have to face the Kaaba. Wa, and innahu, it is lal haqqu, the truth, min rabbika, from your God, from your Lord. Wa, and ma, not. Allahu, God, bighafilin, unaware. Amma, about. Ta'malun, you do. So idiomatically we'll translate it as, indeed this is the truth from your Lord, and God is not unaware of what you do. Ta'malun, you do. All of you people who are being addressed here. وَمِنْ حَيْثُ خَرَجْتَ فَوَلِّي وَجْهَكَ شَطْرَ الْمَسْجِدِ الْحَرَامِ. This is a repetition of the previous verse, implying emphasis that from wherever you come out, face your, or turn your face towards the holy mosque. So, فَمِنْ حَيْثُ خَرَجْتَ فَوَلِّي وَجْهَكَ شَطْرَ الْمَسْجِدِ الْحَرَامِ. Exactly, this verse has passed earlier on. وَحَيْثُ مَا كُنْتُمْ, wa, and haythu, wherever, ma, kuntum, you are, fawallu, therefore turn, wujuhakum, your faces. So wujuh is the plural of wajh. So wujuh would mean faces, and wujuhakum, your faces. Shatrahu, towards it. So wherever you are, from wherever you are, وَحَيْثُ مَا كُنْتُمْ فَوَلُّوا وُجُوهَكُمْ شَطْرَهُ, face towards its direction. Li, so that. Allah, not. Yakuna is linnas, for people. Alaykum, against you. Hujja, argument. So idiomatically it would mean, so that people have no argument against you. They have no excuse. They don't have any reasoning against you. They don't have some proof against you to offer. Illa allazina zalamu minhum. Illa is except. Allazina, those who. Zalamu are people who do injustice. Minhum, from among them. Fala, therefore not. Takhshawhum, you fear them. Takhshawhum, you fear them. Wa, and. Ikhshawni, fear me. And when you read this word by joining it with the vav, you will say wakhshawni. Otherwise it will be ikhshawni. So wakhshawni, wa, and le, so that. Utimma, I complete. Ni'mati, my favor. Alaykum, on you. Wa, and. La'allakum, so that you. Tahtadun, are guided. So idiomatically would mean that except those who are the wrongdoers among them, فَلَا تَخْشَوْهُمْ. So therefore do not fear them. Fear me. The Almighty is saying you need not fear them, you fear me. And so that I am able to complete my favor upon you, and so that you are guided. Kama, in this way. Arsalna, we sent. Fikum, among you, or in you. Rasulan, a messenger. Minkum, from among you. Min is from, kum is you. So in this way, we sent a messenger among you. And what does he do? Yatlu alaykum. Yatlu means read out. Alaykum, on you. Ayatina, are verses. So ayat is the plural of ayat, and ayat means a sign. And because every verse of the Quran is a sign of God, so therefore these verses are also called ayat. So yatlu alaykum ayatina would means so that he recites on you our verses. Wa, and. Yuzakkikum, he purifies you. Wa, and yu'allimukum, he teaches you, or he instructs you, or he conveys to you al-kitab, the book. Wa, and al-hikmah, the wisdom. Wa, and yu'allimukum, teaches you ma, that, lam, not, takunu, you, ta'lamun, knew. So it would mean that in this way we have sent in you a messenger from you who narrates upon you God's verses and purifies you and instructs you in the law. Al-Kitab, we have already discussed this. The word Al-Kitab in Arabic, whenever it occurs with Al-Hikmah in this way, it refers to the law or to the Sharia. So he gives you or instructs you the Sharia and the Hikmah. He gives you the Sharia and the Hikmah. And in this way, he teaches you what you did not know. Ma lam takunu ta'lamun. He taught you or he teaches you ma lam takunu, something which you did not know. Fazkuruni, therefore remember me. Uzkuruni, remember me. And the word fa is appended to it. So if you read it by joining it with fa, you will read it as fazkuruni. Otherwise, it would be fa uzkuruni. So fazkuruni, remember me. Azkurkum, and in return, I will remember you. You remember me? God is telling the Ishmaelites that if you remember me, I will remember you. Washkuruli, and be grateful to me. Washkuruli, be grateful to me. Wa, and la, not. Takfurun, be ungrateful. So be grateful. In fact, it starts off as you remember me, I will remember you. And be grateful to me, and do not be ungrateful to me. Ya ayyuhallazina amanu ista'inu bis sabri was salah. Ya ayyuha means oh. Allazina, those who, amanu, professed faith, ista'inu, seek help, bis sabr, from sabr, or in Arabic the word sabr is translated in English as perseverance or steadfastness, wa, and as-salah, the prayer. So idiomatically the translation would be that, O you who believed, ya ayyuhallazina amanu, O you who believed, ista'inu, seek help, bis sabr, from perseverance, was salah, and from the prayer. Inna, indeed, Allah, God, ma'a, with, as-sabirin, those who are steadfast. So indeed, God is with those who are steadfast, who persevere. Wa, and la, not. Taqulu, you say, liman, about them, yuqtalu, who have been martyred or who have been killed, fi, in, sabil, way, Allah, God. Amwat. Amwat is the plural of mauta, and mauta means the dead. So idiomatically it would mean that do not say about those people who have been killed in the way of God that they are dead. وَلَا تَقُولُوا, do not say, لِمَنْ يُقْتَلُوا, about those who have been killed, فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ, in the way of God, أَمْوَاتٌ, that they are dead. Don't say that people who have been killed in the way of God, they are dead. Bal, in fact, ahya, they are alive. Hayyun is the plural, ahya is the plural of hayyun. So they are alive. Wa, and, lakin, but, la, not. Tash'urun, you are aware. So meaning that in fact they are living, but you do not have any awareness of how they are living. So this is something that you already know, that the Quran has said that people who are killed in the way of God, don't think that they are dead. No, they are living, but we don't know how they live. Of course, referring to the fact that in the land of Barzakh, where most of the people or all the people who die, they are put to sleep. What we can say here is that martyrs are people who are killed in the way of God. Their own souls, they are not put to sleep, but they live there in some form or the other, but we are not exactly sure how they are dwelling there. Wa, and لَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ, we shall definitely try you. بِشَيْءٍ, something. min from, al-khawf fear, al-ju famine. So we shall definitely try you a little. So bishayin means a little. We shall definitely try you a little from among fear and famine. So idiomatically we can say that we shall definitely put you to some sort of trial, to a little trial, which belongs to fear and famine. So the trials of the form of famine and fear will come your way. And then some more trials are mentioned. Wa and naqsim min al amwal, reduction in wealth. Wal anfus, and persons. Wa thamarat, and production again. So wealth, and so the Almighty says that we are going to try you with a little fear and with a little famine, and also reduction in wealth and in your persons and in your production, referring to the war-stricken atmosphere of Arabia. Wa and Bashir, give glad tidings. As-sabirin, to the steadfast. So the Prophet is being told that this is something that's going to happen to you and your companions, that you shall be tried through famine and fear and reduction of wealth and persons and production. But Bashir, give glad tidings. As-sabirin, to the steadfast. Allazina, who, iza, when, asabathum, reaches them, musiba, a calamity. So these are those people, these sabirin, these steadfast are those people that when some calamity reaches them, allazina iza, when asabatum reaches them, musiba, calamity, qalu, they say, inna, indeed we, lillahi, for God, wa, and inna, we, ilayhi, towards him. So ilah is towards, he is him, towards him, referring to the fact towards God. Raji'un, returning. So whenever these people who are steadfast, and about them it is said that give glad tidings to these steadfast people, who are those that when some calamity reaches them, allazina is a asabatum musiba, they are those when asabatum reaches them musiba, a calamity, qalu, they say, inna lillahi, we are for God, wa inna ilayhi, and towards him, raji'un, we shall return. So this is their constant statement whenever any calamity reaches them, whether it's the death of some near one, whether it's their own financial loss, whether it's poverty, whether it's illness, anything. Whenever they are faced with a calamity, what do they say? We are for God and towards him we shall return. Ulaika, they, alayhim, on them, salawatun, mercy. So salawat is the plural of salat, and just as the word salat refers to the prayer when it is used in a specific connotation, it is also used here in the meaning of mercy and blessings. So salawatu means blessings. Mir rabbihim, from their Lord. Wa, and rahma is mercy. So ulaika alayhim, it is they on them. Salawatu mir rabbihim, the blessings from their Lord. Wa, and rahma, and mercy. So idiomatically it would mean that it is these people on whom there will be blessings of God and his mercy. Wa, and ulaika, they, whom, again they. So this is like a double stress that is added. Al-muhtadun, rightly guided. So it is they who are the rightly guided. Wa ulaika humul muhtadun, referring to the fact that these people to whom when a calamity strikes, instead of getting frustrated, instead of getting disappointed, instead of starting complaining to God, they say that we are for God and we are going to return towards him, because if something has happened to us, it is through his will it has happened. And it is, if something has happened to us, we are going to remain steadfast, and once we are steadfast, we will be rewarded for this steadfastness, because ultimately we are going to return to him. And then the next part is Inna as-safa wal marwata min sha'airillah. Inna, indeed, as-safa. The safa, we know, is a hillock in Mecca. I mean, this is one of the rites of Hajj and Umrah. it is offered between the Safa and Marwa. These are two small hillocks. So As-Safa is the name of one hillock and Marwa is the name of the other hillock. So Inna Safa wal Marwa would mean indeed the Safa and the Marwa, min from sha'air, symbols, Allah, God. So indeed the Safa and the Marwa are the symbols from God. Fa man. So he who hajja, hajj al-bayt in fact is the term. He who does the hajj of the bayt, which means the house or the house of God. He who performs or offers the hajj of the house of God. Aw is or. I'tamara does umrah. I'tamara means to do umrah. Fa therefore la not junaha sin alayhi on him an if yattawafa he does tawaf yattawafa bihima between the two, which means that if he does tawaf of the Safa and Marwa, that is what is being referred to here. So faman hajjal bayt, so he who does the hajj of the bayt, he who does the hajj of the house of God, or he does umrah. So whether a person is doing hajj or whether he is doing umrah, fala junaha alayhi, there is no sin on him, an yattawafa bihima, that if he performs or offers the tawaf of these two, Safa and Marwa, because it is like two rounds. I mean, it is like running between the Safa and Marwa is similar to the one that you're going back and forth and resembles tawaf. So the sa'i is also called the tawaf of Safa and Marwa. Wa and man he tatawwa'a does something out of option, khairan good. So he who does something out of his own option, something which is good. Fa inna, therefore, indeed, Allah, God, shakirun, accepts gratitude. Aleem is knowledgeable. So God, waman tatawwa khairan would mean anyone who does something as an optional good deed. Therefore, God is someone who is going to accept it and He is knowledgeable, which means that He is fully aware of such good deeds. Inna, indeed, allazina, they who yaktumuna hide, ma that anzalna we revealed, minal bayyinati from among arguments, wa and al huda guidance, mimbad after, ma that bayyannahu we clarified it, linnas for people, fi in al kitab the book. So it would mean that indeed those who hid Innal lazina yaktumuna, and therefore indeed those who hid ma anzalna, what we revealed, minal bayyinat from among the arguments and from among guidance, after we had made it clear for people in the book. So you see, slightly longer verse, but you can easily understand it, that indeed those who hide that what we revealed in our from among guidance and arguments for people in the book, after that this has happened. What is the consequence of that? Ulaika yal'anuhumullah. These people, ulaika, they, yal'anuhum, God is going to curse them. Yal'anuhumullah, God is going to curse them. So la'ana is to curse. Wa and yal'anuhum, curse. Al-la'inun, those who curse. So for such people who hide this, what has been revealed from among God's arguments and His guidance, then God says that these are the people who God has cursed, and people who curse will curse. Illa allazina, illa except, allazina those who, tabu repent, wa and aslahu reform, wa and bayyanu and explain. Fa'ulaika, therefore they, atubu, I accept, alayhim, I accept their tawbah, I accept their mercy. So this is now an exception. Except for those who tabu, who repent, who do and reform themselves, and they bring to light what they had hidden. So bayyanu would mean that whatever they had hidden is exposed by them. Fa'ulaika atubu alayhim, to them, on them, I am a person who is merciful, I am going to accept their mercy. Wa and at-tawwab, I accept their tawbah, I accept their repentance. Ar-Rahim, and I am ever merciful. So I've already explained this, that when the word tawwab is used for human beings, it means someone who repent again and again. But when the word tawwab is used by the Almighty or for the Almighty, it means someone who accepts repentance. So God, when He is tawwab, He is someone who is accepting the repentance of people. Inna allazina kafaru wa matu wa hum kuffar. Inna, indeed, allazina, those who kafaru, disbelieved, wa, and matu, died, which means that indeed people who disbelieved and they died in this state. Wa hum kuffar, wa, and hum, they, kuffar, disbelievers. So idiomatically it would mean indeed those who disbelieved and died such that they were kuffar, or they were disbelievers, wa hum kuffar, and they were disbelievers. What will happen to them? Ulaika alayhim, ulaika, they, alayhim, on them, la'natullah, God's curse, wa, and, malaika, of the angels, wa, and, annas, of mankind, ajma'in, all of them. So it means that indeed those who disbelieved, allazina kafaru, who disbelieved and died while they were disbelievers, wahum kuffar, then on them is the curse of God, la'natullah, alayhim, la'natullah, and of the angels, and of all the people. Khalidina fiha, khalidina, forever, fiha, in it, which means that they will be in hell forever. La, not, yukhaffafu, decrease, anhum, from them, al-azab, the punishment, wa, and, whom, they, wa, and, la, not, whom, they, yunzarun, given any respite. So they will be in hell forever. Khalidina fiha, they will be in hell forever. And you can see that the word hell is not mentioned here, but the pronoun he, ha, is the antecedent of this pronoun is hell. And this often this style is often adopted by the Quran, in which at times the noun is not mentioned, but it is so evident that any pronoun which is mentioned for that noun is going to automatically go towards it. So when it is said khalidina fiha, they will remain in it forever, that it has to be hell. So they will remain in hell forever. La yukhaffafu, not decreased for them, azab, punishment. So their punishment will never be decreased for them. Wahum walahum yunzarun, and neither shall they be given any respite. So this brings us to an end to this section's literal and idiomatic translation. In case you have any questions regarding this, please raise them now.
Right, thank you, Dr. Shehzad. Nashawa Wasim, you may ask your question.
Assalamu alaikum, sir. Sir, my
Walaikum
question is regarding the ayah which Allah Ta'ala says, get help with patience and prayers. So can you just explain a little bit more about how we can get the help from these two things and how we achieve patience? Because we heard that word a lot. But what are the steps we can reach there?
You see, istaeenu bis sabri was salah, this is a compound sentence or a clause, which meaning that you seek help from patience and you seek help from the prayer. Now, seeking help from patience actually means that you employ patience, you use patience, you use it as a weapon against all adversities. And at other instances in the Quran, it is said, وَمَا صَبْرُكَ إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ, that you cannot acquire this patience illa billah, unless you have a deep connection with God. So istaeenu bis sabr would in fact mean that you have that deep connection with God, which will produce that patience in you, that steadfastness in you, and that perseverance in you, so that in the wake of adversity, in the wake of any calamity that might strike you, you are able to face it with resilience. So basically, it is asking us to have a strong God connection, because unless you have that strong God connection, you'll not be able to be steadfast. And then the next part is the prayer. So because the prayer itself is a form of God connection, that too is something which gives you that resolve and inner courage to face adversities. So we know that the Prophet too would use this advice frequently, and we know from his seerah that whenever he would be in any bother, in any something which would worry him a lot, he would just prostrate before the Almighty. He would offer the prayer and ask for his help. So basically, the prayer itself is a means to ask for God's help. So the prayer, the whole verse or the clause is actually telling us that you seek help from patience, which can be acquired by a strong God connection, and you seek help from the prayer, which itself is a form of God connection. That when you prostrate yourself in the prayer, it is as if you are consigning all your problems to Him, to God, and telling Him and asking Him that, God, I have come to you with all my problems, with all my worries, and I am not in a position to counter them on my own. So I need your help. Please help me. So this gives you that patience. It gives you that power. It gives you that inner courage to move along in life in the wake of any adversity that you might be facing.
Mhm. So, sir, the deep connection with God, you said, so we can just achieve that connection through prayer, or there are some other ways?
There are other ways as well. So, for example, reflecting on this universe and seeing that how the Almighty is looking after us by witnessing the fact that He has made the sun, the moon, the stars, the mountains, the lakes, all for our nourishment and to nurture us. He has given us a body which is normal, which is really a boon for us. Only when we get sick do we realize how important health is. He has given us this extended family. So you see, God connection is not just through rituals, it is also through reflection. So you reflect on your own self, you reflect on the world around you, and you see that all the world around you is basically taking care of yourself. And you feel drenched with God's love as a result. So that is one area. Then, of course, having a deep connection with the Quran, which, of course, is a means to reach God. That too is something. Being charitable, which means that having a charitable behavior towards God's creatures, because it is God who has made them. And if you are sharing your blessings with these creatures, then basically you are thanking and showing gratitude to God. So that God connection is not just through the prayer, it is through all charitable acts, it is through reflection as well, it is through understanding that we have been made for a purpose, it is by always thanking Him, it is by expressing our repentance before Him whenever we do something wrong. It's like it's like connecting to Him in every deed that we do. So that God connection is like fodder for us. It's like food for our soul. It's like breath. It's like the breath that we draw for our body. So just as our body needs those breaths, our soul also needs breath to breathe. And by breathing of the soul, I refer to the fact that our soul has to be attached to the Almighty as far as possible.
Shehzad, I have a couple of written questions from Adil Qureshi.
Okay.
He is asking if Jew is famine or hunger.
Jew is famine. I mean, the word hunger actually, it does refer, the word Jew actually means hunger, but the way it has been mentioned here is that you will be tested in a collectivity. So you see, the words are, وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ. So you shall be tested with fear and the loss of wealth and loss of people and loss of production. So it's like a collective calamity that is striking you. So that is why, that is what we call the qarina, which makes us translate the word Jew not merely as individual hunger, but collective hunger. And that is what famine is. So famine is that collective hunger in which there is a general situation in which all people are not given enough, or they are not provided with enough food. So that is how we translate the word.
Right. There's another question about the difference between inna and anna.
So inna is indeed we, and anna is also indeed we. The only thing is that the sentence, when it begins in this way that we have just started, it will begin with inna, but a sentence will never begin with anna. So it will always be in between some clause or in between some other words of speech, of some other figures of speech.
Right. There's another question about bayinat.
And anna is also at times used to mean that. So anna is, to just as we say that. But when it is used with a noun, like for example, we say anna Allah, then of course that would mean that, indeed. But when we say anna, I mean, if she's talking about the question is about the word anna with an alif, then of course it is just the reverse of in. I mean, reverse the fact that inna would be the word from which the verse begins. For example, when we say indeed we, and anna would be when it comes in between, and that the meaning would be the same, but the only thing is that the Arab would be different.
All right, thank you. Another question is about the word bayinat, if it means proof or argument.
It's the same. I mean, it depends on the occasion on which we translate these words. So the word bayyinat is actually the plural of the word bayyana. And bayyana is anything from which the truth becomes evident. So at times arguments make the truth evident. At times some other thing makes the truth evident. So it's always the occasion of a particular verse that we use a particular shade of meaning. Otherwise, the word bayyana means something through which the truth becomes evident.
Thank you, Shehzad. Imran, you may ask your question now.
Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Shehzad. Thank you very much for explanation. Just a quick question about yundarun. You know, that 162 ayah, khalidina fiha la yukaffaf anhum al-adab wa lahum yundarun. I know that, I've learned that, I've had this question for some time, that nadara yundaru in Arabic means to look, to observe, and the passive or the majhul yundaru would be to be looked upon. But when we translate in a sentence, we say reprieved or given respite, right? Like you said. So how does
that's an idiomatic translation. I mean, like idiom, whenever it is used like this, hum yunzarun, which literally would mean that they are watched upon. So it's like watched upon means that they are given some time.
I see. Okay. So when it's a wala hum yunzarun, that means they're not.
They're not. They're not going to be given any time, no respite.
Right. I see. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Riaz, you may ask your question now.
Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Sahab.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Dr. Sahab, the ayah 155, the wala nablu wannakum, it means it is just for Sahaba. It's very specific. But on the
very
other,
specifically for the Sahaba.
Yeah, on the other hand, in the Surah Fajr, it says, "Wa amma iza mabtalahu faqadara alayhi rizqahu." Is a generic? Is it for everyone?
That is a generic word. Amma iza mabtala would mean that when someone is tried by the Almighty, faqadara alayhi rizqahu, and his sustenance is restricted or constricted, then he does such and such a. I mean, the reaction from him is such and such a reaction. So that is a general. I mean, it's not even general in that case because the Quraysh are being addressed there as well. But here it is for the Sahaba. Because you see, for them it was compulsory, or God made it His own practice that because they would be rewarded with very high ranks in the hereafter. So their trial was also supposed to be very tough in this world. And about them it is said that come what may, they shall be passing through very severe trials. So this doesn't mean that the rest of us will not be passing through trials. The only thing that it means is that for the rest of us, our trials would be of different capacities. For example, it would not just be of depriving us of wealth or assets or lives, but it could also be through granting us more wealth. And as a result, there's always a chance that we will start ignoring God because of the fact that we have been blessed with so much. And precisely that is why there is a hadith of the Prophet in which he is reported to have said that he fears affluence for his ummah much more than poverty, because poverty is something which always connects you to God, or something in which you are deprived, you look up to God and you connect to Him. But when you are in a situation of luxury, you tend to forget God. So the trials that people will face other than the Sahaba trials will always be there, but the nature of those trials would be different. But with the Sahaba, the trials would be very tough, in which, as this verse says, it could be loss of life, it could be loss of property, it could be other things in which, like famine and fear, they'll be overcome with these, and they will be tried and tested.
Thank you. Ruhi Rasool, you may ask your question now.
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Sir, we read today the word yakun, and its translation was is. But in kun fayakun, doesn't it become past tense that God said hoja and it happened?
No, it is still in the future tense. I mean, the translation would be kun would mean be, and yakun means it will be, it becomes, it shall be. So be is a command. It's not a past tense. Kun is like a command. Be, which means that whatever the order is, yakun, and it will become what it is told. So it's not the past tense. It's something which relates to the future.
So today we read it as present tense, yakun.
So you see, the Muzare, I've been discussing this because actually I don't want to go into the details of Arabic grammar, because the purpose is that you learn Arabic without going into the details of grammar. But since you've asked this question, the word Muzare is it covers the present tense and the future tense. So yakun is for both these tenses. So it's like the occasion or the context which will tell us whether it's being used for the present tense or the future tense.
Right, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Noshaba Wasim, you may ask your question now.
Assalamu alaikum, sir. Sir, I just need a
Walaikum.
little bit more information, explanation about God curses. So what does that mean?
Well, that is something of a very, very, this is the ultimate anger of God which is being expressed. When you say that God is cursing someone, it means that He is extremely angry. He is not going to forgive such people. The curse of God, for example, we know that the word rajim in Arabic means accursed. And for Satan it is said, shaitan rajim, that he is the accursed devil, or he is someone who has been, he has that eternal curse from the Almighty, the eternal rebuke from the Almighty. God is angry with him. He'll remain angry with him forever. So basically it is a word which expresses the extreme. I mean, you cannot express any more extreme regarding God's anger than the word la'na, that God is not going to look upon with favor with such people. He is going to just punish them. He is going to take them to task. The only thing is that He is giving such people respite in this world, including Satan. But once they come to Him, then they are going to face the wrath of God. So it's like the extreme expression of God's anger and wrath.
Mm-hmm. So it's different than the lanat we use the word in Urdu?
Again, there are some shades which are common. For example, when you say the same word in Urdu, again we say that the curse of God be on you. May God be angry with you. May God punish you very severely.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. There's an addition to Nashaba's question. It asks, God being angry and His curse is understood, but what does it mean for angels and all human beings?
Again, this shows that the angels curse disbelievers, and it also shows that all believers they have this displeasure towards the disbelievers, because remember, these disbelievers are not disbelievers out of any confusion, out of any misunderstanding, but they are deliberate in their denying the truth. So this deliberate denial of the truth, that you know what the truth is, but you say, I'm not going to accept it. It is sheer arrogance. So this is something which really inflames God. It really enrages Him. And that rage is expressed in a way that it's not just God who's going to who's going to have that extreme anger for such people. His angels also will have such anger. And when all mankind, they are on the day of judgment, they see such disbelievers, they are also going to express their extreme anger, because these were the people whom God revealed divine guidance, who were expecting divine guidance, who had divine guidance written in their own scriptures that there is going to be a last prophet who is going to come and they are going to honor him. But they became the first people to deny Him. And not out of any confusion, but out of this arrogance and this jealousy that why did he come from among the Ishmaelites. So basically, it is this extreme anger of every living being, so to speak, that is expressed here.
Thank you, Lord Shehzad. Shaban Ansari, you may ask your question now.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम
Walaikum assalam.
सर यही वाली बात के कर्स भेजने वाली है, लानत करने वाली बात कि ये हम आज भी जब कुरान से पढ़ते हैं तो आज के यहूद व नसारा पर भी हम इसी तरह कर्स और लानत भेज रहे होते हैं और हम ये समझ रहे होते हैं कि वो आज के यहूद व नसारा के साथ है, जैसे पिछलों के साथ था तो वो आज तक चलता आ रहा है, वो चाहे मस्जिदों में हम करें बद्दुआएं के तौर पे करें या जिस तरह, तो इसके बारे में थोड़ा सा क्लियर करिए कि ये इसके बारे में हमारी क्या वो होनी चाहिए.
So, first of all, this verse is a specific verse. It cannot and never does relate to all Jews and Christians or non-Muslims. It relates to those, as you can see from the context, who had, we just read this word, وَهُمْ يَعْلَمُونَ وَيَعْرِفُونَ. They were people who recognized the Prophet. They knew who the Prophet was. They recognized the Quran. They were waiting for the Quran. So, this context is very specific. It cannot be extended. However, today, yes, there are people who read these verses or similar verses in the mosques, particularly in the wake of the recent Israeli and Palestinian conflict, and they refer these verses or these harsh words towards the Israelites. So in that, I mean, my own understanding of this is that we have to keep this general. We just cannot pinpoint people, because these verses, they say that the wrath of God should be on people who deliberately deny a truth. So whether a particular person is doing that or not, we cannot know. So if we have to say these words, it should always be general and not specifically directed towards a specific group of people. What we can say is that whoever is indulging in deliberate denial, whoever is indulging in deliberate killing of people, and whoever has made up his mind to be in such a position or in such a situation, let the curse of God be on them. So it should be, yes, we can say these words, but we cannot say them pinpointedly towards a group, because only a prophet of God can pinpointedly say these words to a group, because for prophets of God, it is known through wahi, through divine revelation, God informs them that if you have to say these words, then they have to be said for a people about whom God tells the prophet that these are the people who have now deliberately denied the truth, and they deserve this. So we know that this Qunut-e-Nazila, if you've heard of this, there is this prayer which the Prophet did offer when some of his companions were deliberately killed, and some of these incidents had happened on his own times. But today we find the same words of Qunut-e-Nazila being read. We can see it in many mosques in the Muslim Ummah these days, and they pinpointedly direct these words towards the Israelites. So I would not say that this is the correct methodology. The correct methodology is that these words can be uttered, but they should not be uttered towards a particular group of people, because we can never say, we are not in a position to say if these people had deliberate or are guilty of deliberate denial. So regarding the Jews and Christians of the times of the Prophet, even the Prophet did not know about their deliberate denial. It was God who informed him, and therefore he uttered these words for them. Today we cannot, but we still say that there are people who might be deliberately denying. It's that we cannot be informed about them. So our words should also be general instead of being specific.
और आज के लोगों पे इत्माम हुज्जत भी तो नहीं है कि उनको मतलब क्लियर भी तो नहीं है कि सच्चाई है, तो ये भी तो
that is correct. So that is why we cannot, today's people cannot be cursed by pinpointing them that we are conveying our curses to a particular group of people, because they are people who might be misunderstanding the truth. They are people who might be having confusions. They are people who might be misled by Muslims, by the action of the Muslims themselves. So today we, as I said earlier on, we cannot pinpoint our curse or our words towards such people. What we can say is that whoever is guilty of deliberate denial, wherever he is deserving God's curse. That is what best we can say. But we can never pinpoint people, or we should not actually.
Thank you, Dr. Shehzad. Ikra Bashir, you may ask your question.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम सर, अभी तो इसी क्वेश्चन से रिलेटेड ही मैं ये पूछ लेती हूँ कि if someone is still Yahud or Nasara, so doesn't it mean that he is still disbeliever of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam?
So we have been discussing this issue a number of times. It doesn't mean that he is a disbeliever. The word disbeliever or kafir refers to someone who is intentionally denying someone. Intentionally denying means that you are convinced of someone's truthfulness or veracity, and you still say, I'm not going to believe in that person. So this cannot be true regarding all Jews and Christians of today. There could be some Jews and Christians who might be denying intentionally, but we cannot say this about all Jews and Christians. Maybe they have confusion about the last prophet. Maybe they are not fully informed. Maybe the message of the Quran has not reached them in its proper way, and they have an excuse. So today's Jews and Christians, the best word to use for them is non-Muslims. They cannot be called kafir. Kafir is someone who is convinced of a truth and then he denies it. So the Yahud and Nasara of today, about them, we cannot pinpointedly say that which of them has been conveyed the truth in the ultimate form and he is denying it. So yes, they could be kafir who could be existing today, but we have no means to identify them. And in the times of the prophets of God also, even prophets had no means to identify them. It was God who would tell them that now this person has become a kafir because of this intentional denial. And why? Because intentional denial is something which relates to your own heart and your inner self. And this inner self and this heart's intent is not known even to prophets of God. So even to prophets of God, God had to tell them that your such and such an adversary has become a kafir or an intentional denier. So you see, such is the delicate situation of calling someone a kafir, that even a prophet of God is not authorized to say to call someone a kafir unless God informs him that such and such person has become guilty of disbelief.
Sir, but what about that it was mentioned in their books about the last prophet? So is it fully removed or?
No, it has been tampered with. It's not being removed, but it has been, a lot of things have been inserted, some of them have been deleted. And yes, of course, as a result, we do find that there are sentences, we have been discussing this all along in our Quranic lessons, that there are so many sentences and phrases and clauses still in the Bible that in spite of taking away some of the words, those sentences are so explicit that they cannot refer to anyone but to the Prophet himself. So this is an important thing. And another thing that I'd like to say here in response to your question is that this does not mean that the Jews and the Christians of today will be they'll be let go of totally. So you see, whether they are Jews and Christians, whether they belong to any religion, one question that will be asked from them on the Day of Judgment is that did they give enough attention and thought to the fact that there were people in this world, or there was a book about which people of the world, or some people of the world, claimed that it is the last book of God, and it was brought down by a last prophet who claimed himself to be the last prophet of God. So you see, by being careless, by being dismissive, this is going to bring them to account before the Almighty. So the question that we are addressing here is that we just cannot call them kafir because we don't know whether they are denying intentionally or not. But on their own part, the responsibility that they carry is that as individuals who have been sent to this planet, they should be seekers of the truth, which means that any truth that they might find coming their way, if they deny that truth intentionally, they would be held accountable before the Almighty. Similarly, if they hear this call that there are people living in this world who claim to be the followers of the last prophet or the last book, and that book is something which has been preserved by the Almighty or through the Almighty's schemes and his methodologies by human beings, and it carries that status of the last book of God, and it is the last message of God, then at least giving it enough thought, even if they have to deny it, is essential. I mean, they can deny the book, but they just cannot be careless about that book. They just cannot dismiss the book by saying that I mean, we don't care about it. So the question that they would be asked is that whether they were true seekers of the truth, whether when the call of the truth came to them, did they investigate it further, or did they become careless? So these questions will of course still be asked from them, but this does not mean that all of them or people who live today, they have answered these questions to the best of their abilities, and in spite of that they are being taken to task. So you see, these are two different things. So one is related to how we see people, and the other is related to how other people would be questioned by the Almighty.
Okay, thank you. Sir, my other question was related to sabr. I want you to please elaborate the true definition of the sabr, like especially in the Indo-Pak context, it have its own kind of definition, like चुप करके गलत को भी बर्दाश्त करना. लेकिन हम देखते हैं कि कभी हमें अपने रिश्तों को बचाने के लिए, सिला रहमी के लिए हमें कभी गलत बातों को बर्दाश्त करना पड़ता है. तो वो सब्र में आएगा, या मतलब एक ये डेफिनेशन दीजिए कि दीन के रास्ते पे चलते हुए आप मुस्तकिल मिजाजी से या साबित कदम रहें, तो वो सब्र है.
So you see, one important thing is that the word sabr, the way it is used in Arabic, has a different meaning than the one it is used in Urdu language. And this is again the same case that we have been discussing, that same words which are used in different languages have a different meaning. I just gave you this example of the word khairat. When the word khairat is used in Arabic, as we just saw, fastabiqul khairat, it doesn't refer to charity, it refers to all good deeds. But when we use the word khairat in Urdu language, it of course refers to just charity, it doesn't refer to other good deeds. So in a very similar way is the question that you have asked. They have a different meaning. The word sabr in Urdu means that when you have no option, you have nothing to do, then you are just left with this, that you okay, as a means of resigning to what has happened, you just do nothing and stay quiet. But in Arabic, the word sabr means that you persevere against it. You steadfastly face that adversity in a courageous way, in a way that you do accept it if it is the will of God, but at the same time, you don't give up. You face it in a very courageous way. You face it if you can overturn it, the calamity that has come your way. So basically, the Arabic sabr means to be a little aggressive, if I may use this word, in becoming steadfast, in becoming resilient, in countering the calamity that has come your way. And if you're not able to do something, then you resign to the will of God. So it's like countering your adversity. It's like facing that adversity with courage, with all your might. And if you do that and still nothing happens, then you resign to the will of God. But in the Urdu part, in the Urdu version, this first part is not figuring. It's just that whatever happens, you just accept it. So this is the major difference. And in the Quran, wherever you find the word sabr used, or on most occasions I can say, it is used in this meaning. And therefore, I would always suggest that whenever the word sabr is translated, the best translation in the English language, for example, would be perseverance or steadfastness. And in the Urdu language, it would be sabit qadami. Just as the word sabit qadam, if you know what it means in Urdu, so the exact sense that is being conveyed in Arabic for this meaning is what we call in Urdu as sabit qadam. So in Urdu, sabit qadam means that someone who is there, who is going to look against and look the adversity in the eye and not going to give up easily.
Okay, thank you. Sir, my last question was about...
Ikra, could you wait for the other participants to ask, and I'll come back to you again.
Okay.
Thank you. Nashaba Wasim, you may go ahead.
सर सॉरी कर्ज से ही रिलेटेड मेरे जहन में आया है, क्योंकि मैं एक दफ़ा मौलाना वहीदुद्दीन का सुन रही थी, क्लिप था, उन्होंने कहा कि एक मुसलमान कभी दूसरे मुसलमान को कर्ज नहीं कर सकता. तो सर ये इसको थोड़ा सा एक्सप्लेन करेंगे कि ये हम मुसलमानों के लिए जायज़ नहीं है, क्योंकि
Yes, Wahiduddin Saab is absolutely correct. So this verse is not talking about we people cursing people. It's talking about God and angels and people who will be there on the day of judgment, about whom we know that these are the people who are absolutely deserving God's punishment, that we are going to curse them. So this is an entirely different context. It is referring to those people about whom it is known that they are God's enemies or who are God's criminals, about whom there is no doubt about the fact. And that doubt has been clarified by none other than Almighty Himself. So He is the one who has pinpointed such people, and therefore it is said that such people would face the curse of everyone. But in normal circumstances of today or any other circumstances, meaning calling someone with these words is not the right attitude, unless, of course, as you can see, that there are some oaths which are taken. That, for example, when you say that if I lie, may the curse of God be on me. So that is that's an absolutely fine statement, because what you're saying is that I am giving you an undertaking in which I'm going to speak the truth, and if I lie, may the curse of God be on me. So that is something in which you are presenting yourself as a person who's not going to lie. Similarly, you can take this oath from another person and say that if you lie, then let the curse of God be on you. So that is another thing in which this word can be used. But other than that, if I use this word without any background or such a context, then it's not an appropriate word to be used for our brethren.
Thank you. Ikra, would you like to ask a question?
Thank you. Sir, it was about mudare. Is there any signs or symbols to differentiate between the present and the future, or we just see it in the context?
So please let not this class turn into an Arabic teaching class, because this is not basically a class in which I would like to teach you Arabic and the Quran through Arabic. I sometimes use these words as a necessity just to acquaint you with some important things. Otherwise, what muzare is and what other grammatical terms are, it is best that if you're learning the Quran in the methodology that I'm trying to teach you, you try to stay away from these terms as much as you can, because all these terms, or without using all these terms, I am trying to teach you the Quran in a way that you can translate it without knowing its grammar and without knowing most of the terms, unless they become a necessity. So it's better that if you're learning Arabic, that is fine, and you then learn Arabic in a different class. But for our approach in the Quran here, grammar is in the last, it's the last thing that I would like to bring up. It's only brought up when something has to be told to you, so that you might just note it down.
Okay, actually, I was studying grammar in another class, so
then the best thing is that you ask your teacher, you ask your Arabic teacher for that. Inshallah, we'll start off with the next section of verses in our next week's class, and if you have no further questions, we might as well end the session here.